Namaste. My name is Malvika Sawant, and I'll be presenting my paper on Vedas and the human life. So let's take a look at the overview that will basically tell what my presentation will be about. First, I'll start off with the introduction, then move on to the Vedic view of the human experience, then the division of a lifespan, then the categorization of people, or known as Varnashrama in the Vedas, then the gunas, these are the qualities within us that determine our thoughts and behavior patterns, and expanding from a limited experience into love and light, and then the conclusion. So the introduction. The Vedas are a largely comprehensive set of scriptures that form the core of Hinduism. The word Veda derived from the Sanskrit word Ved, meaning to know. They're not man-made scriptures, but rather texts which God has revealed for the welfare of the worlds, making it a necessity for the continuation and preservation. All human knowledge is conveyed in the Vedas in symbolic form, including all scientific discoveries and inventions. The Vedas encompass multiple elements such as liturgical material, historical accounts, hymns, poems, prayers, and formulas which are sacred in the Vedic religion. Now, cosmic science in the Vedas. Modern astronomy is a natural science that is based on Vedic cosmology. Cosmic science and discoveries have been studied through quotes from Vedas on science, geography, and astronomy. So let's take a look at what the Rig Vedas have alluded to regarding the source of light for the moon. Rig Veda 1.84.15 states that the moving moon always receives a ray of light from sun. Rig Veda 10.85.9 states that the moon decided to marry. Day and night attended its wedding, and sun gifted his son, daughter, sun ray to the moon. Now to the sun eclipse. Rig Veda 5.40.5 states that, O sun, when you are blocked by the one whom you gifted your own light, meaning moon, then earth gets scared by sudden darkness. Now gravitational force. Rig Veda 8.12.28 states that, O Indra, by putting forth your mighty rays which possess the qualities of gravitation and attraction, illumination and motion, keep up the entire universe in order through the power of your attraction. Rig Veda 1.6.5 and Rig Veda 8.12.30 state that, O God, you've created the sun, you possess infinite power. You're holding the sun and other spheres and render them steadfast by your power of attraction. Rig Veda 1.35.9 states that, O sun, the sun moves in its own orbit, but holding earth and other heavenly bodies in a manner that they do not collide with each other through force of attraction. Now, Yajurveda 33.43 states that the sun moves in its own orbit in space, taking along with itself the mortal bodies like earth through force of attraction. Rigveda 1.164.13 states that the sun moves in its own orbit, which itself is moving. Earth and other bodies move around the sun due to the force of attraction because sun is heavier than them. Atharva Veda 4.11.1 states that the sun has held earth and other planets. Now let's talk about Vedic architecture. The Vedic architecture is a major basis of successful architecture in the world today. This is because the description of architecture in the Vedas echo trends of sustainable and eco-friendly building. Now, expression of food in the Vedas. Vedas express the food as the essence of the Supreme Brahman. The Vedas state that it is from the food the journey of each individual soul begins in the mortal world as the soul finds the parent's body through the food. Now, relationship ideology in the Vedas. Vedas present 8 types of marriages and relationships. Vedas have even been open enough to accept many of the things that have been taboo at some point or another in post-Vedic times. This can include things like prostitution, divorce, homosexuality, widow marriage, etc., but only as the act adhered to the path of dharma, the laws or principles which govern the universe. And on the other hand, even a simple act that was done without adherence to dharma was considered a grave mistake. Now let's look at the governance ideals in the Vedas. The knowledge of the Vedas is mandatory for a king to rule his kingdom justly. The forever alert and intellectual leader should be free from all of the 6 vices mentioned in the Vedas. These are kama, meaning lust, krodha, meaning anger, lobha, meaning greed, moha, meaning attachment, madhya, meaning pride, matsarya, meaning jealousy. Every political structure represented the values present in the Vedas. The most commonly cited example of this is Ramrajya, where the leader is an epitome of honesty, justice, truth, and righteousness. Now, there are so many more concepts which are thoroughly presented and explained throughout the Vedas. Now, let's look at the Kali Yuga mantra, which is stated. So, the main claim of the Vedas is that the world is a reflection of the reality, just like how a tree is reflected in the river. Therefore, the Vedas give the solution to come out of this Maya or illusion and head towards the spiritual world. For the present era of Kali Yuga, the Vedas give a particular mantra to chant, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Through this mantra, a person can realize a spiritual form in which he is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. This mantra also helps in connecting with God. This way, one can permanently save themselves from the sufferings of the world. Now, onto the Vedic view of the human experience. Current times describe the human experience as a term for realities revolving around a person's life. However, the Vedic perspective of the human experience varies on a multitude of levels. It describes the human experience as a spiritual purpose that is composed of 4 elements: dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Dharma is understanding the purpose of one's life and living it to fulfill that extent. Now, the Vedas do not outline a rule-based way to live life, as the current times have shaped mankind to grow and live in a certain way, deterring the intelligence for beings to understand their true Vedic dharma. Artha is the second objective of the human experience. It is described as manifesting wealth and abundance in one's life. This manifestation includes feelings of joy, love, and surroundings filled with people who this one can connect with on a deeper level. Now, kama is obtaining one's self-desires and sense of gratification. This aspect of the human experience, according to the Vedas and Sanatana Dharma, informs the people that they have the right to honor and acknowledge that they have desires in the material world. However, one must not get too caught up in the kama element or the desire to attain things one longs for, because the truth or reality is ultimately leads to liberation. Now on to moksha. Moksha is to understand and truly cognize that one is a spiritual being and pure consciousness. The true objective of human birth reality is for a being to be present in the state of moksha and experience a true reality that is vividly present as a Vedic human experience. The Vedas describe this element of the human experience as an environment where one can feel the deep connection with the divine. The true realities the Vedas convey about the human experience is that each being is Paramashiva, and to entirely live the contentful described human experience, one must experience moksha and attain liberation from this third dimensional world. Now let's look at division of a lifespan. The Vedas connect human life through 4 stages or ashramas: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyasa. Everyone experiences these 4 stages through a gradual progression. However, in terms of responsibilities and duties, these stages cannot be deemed equal. If the lifespan of a human being is compared to that of a day, the first 3 stages would constitute the day, and the last one would constitute the entire night. From brahmacharya to grihastha, young people start taking on responsibilities at home, such as helping with younger siblings, contributing to the community, such as working certain jobs like babysitting, walking dogs, walking grocery stores, car washes, etc. Now, below is a depiction of the symbolism and significance of the 4 ashramas in human life according to Vedic tradition. Now, a being is expected to perform duties or shramas during the four separate stages to attain moksha or liberation. The average life of a person in Kali Yuga is assumed to be 100 years. So, therefore, presuming this lifespan, each ashrama covers roughly 25 years of a person's life. The time in learning the respective duties allocated for each ashrama differed amongst castes. So let's take a look at the brahmacharya period. Now, the brahmacharya period connects the initiation ceremony, upanyana, and studentship. This stage would be dedicated for students to enter a gurukul, live under the care of their guru, and become educated in the Vedas and other scriptures. Now, grihastha ashrama. The grihastha ashrama occurs when a student reaches home from their gurukul after completing their education, having developed their body and mind fully, and becoming adept to the Vedic knowledge. Now, this period also marked the time where one is entitled to get married and lead the life of a householder. Now, the vanaprastha ashrama. Vanaprastha ashrama begins when a person's skin begins to wrinkle and he becomes a grandfather. This period is dedicated for a person to begin preparing to move away from worldly matters and enter the spiritual journey to attain moksha. He should begin dedicating or delegating his duties to his children, leaving his family and possessions, and moving into a secluded environment. Now, these observations are all concluded from Vedic tradition to aim at controlling oneself's mind, overcoming passions, developing detachment from the sense of objects, and preparing oneself for a more rigorous life as an ascetic or sannyasi. Now, the final phase is known as sannyasa. So this is basically the final phase of human life during which a person should devote his entire life and activities in the pursuit of moksha or final liberation. So let's take a look at categorization of people, or in the Vedas as it's stated, Varnashrama. So Varnashrama is the Sanskrit name which is given to the divisional structure laid out in the Vedas. Varnashrama dharma is not a man-made system, but refers to a natural classifications that appear to various degrees in all human societies. Now, the four varnas that are specified with their own dharma are Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. And so this was all done based on the predispositions and actions and behaviors that a person spontaneously expressed. However, the Varnashrama is and has been a recent tool of oppression and abuse. The Varnashrama system was designed to give everyone an opportunity to experience and live out their desires appropriately. It was the caste system, and the rigidity of the caste system was a gradual corruption of the original Varnashrama. The Varnashrama system was, as I said, was designed to give everyone an equal opportunity to experience their lives to the fullest extent. The original version was not egalitarian, and nor was it prescriptive. The system helped each person, regardless of their inclinations and abilities, to live responsibly by contributing to the welfare of the larger community and accepting the consequences of their own actions. According to the Vedas, these roles should ideally be determined by talent and self-determination rather than by birth, and are all necessary and deserving of respect. Now, the first reference to the Varnashrama system is made in Purush Sukta verses of the Rig Veda, meaning Book 10, Hymn 90, where the different sections of the society are regarded as limbs of the Great Self. The Purush Sukta in Rig Veda mentions the Purush, who is the world spirit who has produced the Brahman from his mouth, the Kshatriya from his arms, and the Vaishya from his thighs. The Shudra is said to have sprung from his feet. Now, when objectively viewed, these Varnas were sophisticated organizations in the society that intelligently divided the population into different groups that would help the society function smoothly. So let's take a look at the four Varnas. We have the Brahmin, where the Vedic society had described this role as that of an intellectual, teacher, or priest. Those who had the capacity to teach and guide others would be the best fit for this position. Now we have the Kshatriya. The duty of a Kshatriya was to protect the weak and helpless and to promote justice. Now a Vaishya's duty was to manage a successful business and promote trade and economic health in an honest and fair manner. And then Shudra. A Shudra's duty was to do his or her work to the best of his or her ability and so help the community keep running smoothly. So basically, the Varnashrama was meant to divide the assets integral to human society, such as learning, political power, wealth, and skills, so that no one individual or group could possess them all and thus overtake the other beings. Vedic society was based on collaboration, not competitiveness, and it aimed at promoting the spiritual growth of each member rather than allowing a few members to dominate the others. So the gunas in the Vedas. According to the Vedic knowledge, the whole world consists of three gunas, or three guna, or qualities. So all matter in the universe is reducible to one primary substance called Prakriti, the original power of action. Prakriti manifests itself in every subtle living or non-living matter in the universe, and it is the absolute composite of the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva is the power of harmony, balance, light, and intelligence, basically the higher or spiritual potential. Rajas is the power of energy, action, change, and movement, the intermediate or life potential. Tamas is the power of darkness, inertia form, and materiality, the lower or material potential. Now, the gunas combine into 5 different compositions to develop the elements of the body or Pacha Mahabhuta. Now, this is 1, Sattva, which equals Akasa or ether, 2, Rajas, meaning Vayu or air, Sattva plus Rajas, meaning Agni or fire, Sattva plus Tamas equaling Jal, meaning water, or Tamas equaling Prithvi, meaning earth. So, Sattva guna characteristics can be explained as the state of balance between activity and inertia. It is symbolized with the color of white. Rajas guna characteristics have been presented throughout the universe as a characteristic known for its hyperactiveness. So that means like the red color symbolizes the Rajas guna. And then we have the Tamas guna, which signifies illusion, ignorance, mental dullness, laziness, greed, confusion, attachment, and heaviness. And furthermore, it is symbolized with dark colors. Now, the three gunas have manifested themselves into the human personality and have become a common method in the modern era to explain the concept of personality. These three gunas, in different proportions, lead to one to behave, react, conceptualize, and comprehend the nature of their surroundings differently. Any changes, whether it's physical, mental, or psychological, occurs in a human being which has the 5 root elements which compose the body. These 5 elements are perceived in the body through the 5 physical senses. Now, every person has some ego according to which they perceive processed data according to their intellect or buddhi. As shown in the illustration, the 3 gunas stemming out of ego, which is also called the I sensor or modifier, decides the personality of a person. Now, in the end, what comes out as a result of this raw data collected through the 5 senses is called the personality of a person, and it depends upon the 3 gunas which dominate at a particular time. Now, there are certain characteristics for each of these gunas that dictate one's overall personality. So if we take a look at the Sattva guna is present in a correct position if one is mentally strong, respectful towards the gurus, non-violent, meditative, self-controlled, and kindred. Now looking at the Rajas guna lies in between Sattva and Tamas, and it's as a catalyst representing passion. So Rajas guna is in the balanced proportion if one is an enthusiast, deeply interested, dedicated to work, restless, self-centered, or is an achiever. Now, on to Tamas guna. So a person having an imbalanced Tamas guna can experience its effects in short-lived happiness, materialism, possessive feelings, and a keen desire to harm others. However, if one experiences a change in their tamasic guna, they will experience timely sleep, balanced diet, openness to others, appreciative in nature, concerned about others, and active towards helping others. And now these three gunas never exist in isolation in a person, and they always act in conjunction with each other. They're all eternal compromises which have existed throughout the universe and describe human life evident through the knowledge shared from the Vedas. Now let's look at the last topic, which is expanding from a limited experience into love and light. So the Vedic scriptures reflect the importance of truth in human life. Hence, they're considered inviolable and indisputable, and as instruments of verbal testimony reliable to ascertain metaphysical truths. So one of the hymns in the Rig Veda, which contains the earliest notion of truth as a moral and spiritual imperative for liberation. The gods of Rig Vedic times are lords of truth. They're not only the protectors of the world and the worshippers of truth from the falsehood of demons, but they also destroy the enemies of truth and the worshippers of evil. Now, the Vedas also declare that the Vedic sages or rishis practice truth as an austerity. The source of truth is Brahman, and the world of Brahman is located in the sun. And hence, in the moral world, truth becomes an extension of the sun, just as light radiates from him. Now, whether one utters the sacred syllable, Om, chants lyrics, sings the summons, practices sacrifices, or performs austerities, their ultimate objective is Brahman and the silent recipient of all offerings and the highest truth. Now, the relevance of this in human life today is that one must pursue truth. So, ano brahada kratvo yantu visvata. So, the translation of the stotra stated above is let noble thoughts come to us from any direction. This exact line depicts the true essence of the Vedas, conveying this expansion into love and light. Ekam sat vitpra bahudu vedanti. The translation of this stotra, in accordance with the Vedas, is the truth teaches us to pursue truth. That's what the Vedas teach us, and to accept nothing but the truth, which is one in another way. Now, if beings start incalculating the habit of following moral values or principles in their daily lives, showing the relevance to today's existing human life, it'll improve the standard of morality and truthfulness among the family, community, society, and nation as a whole in the generations to come. This is what will allow that limited experience dwelling in a being's life to expand into an atmosphere overwhelmed with love and light. So to the conclusion, now the Vedas are the core knowledge of existence coming directly for the Parabrahma, for the welfare of human beings. They are a source in which humans can restore that lost connection with God and receive his blessings through a storage of alienable and uncountable knowledge and wisdom. The Vedas have guided the Sanatani religion's direction for ages and will continue to do so for the generations to come. They will forever remain the most comprehensive and universal of all ancient Hindu scriptures. And as the Rig Veda states, it is the one truth that sages call by many names. Thank you.